everyone. Thanks for being here today. I'm so excited to share with you my Capstone project, which is called DuoWatch. So let's get right into it. So I'm a huge fan of Duolingo. I grew up in a bilingual household, and I really like the way that Duolingo has made language learning more accessible to people all around the world. And so I think that they could take this accessibility a step further and expand their offerings to the wearable ecosystem. Currently, Duolingo only exists on the mobile phone, but I have imagined a world where it could exist on the Apple Watch and have designed the Duolingo app for the Apple Watch. So my ask here is for funding and resources for development, marketing, and testing of my designs. So why now? Like I said, I think Duolingo has a user segment that it's not tapping into, which is people who want to access language learning more on the go. So the use cases here are kind of like commuters, people who want to be accessing Duolingo more easily through their watch rather than their phone on a commute, or if they're going on like a run, working out, etc. Similar to how Spotify you can access on your watch when you're going on a run, this is a similar idea. Also, nearly 80% of iPhone users have an Apple Watch, so again, the market need is there, and I think it's a really great opportunity for Duolingo's expansion. So now I want to talk through my process a little bit. So I started out with doing a lot of user research. I did a survey and a number of informational interviews with daily Duolingo users who are really passionate about the app. And I asked them, what do you like about the mobile app? What don't you like? What do you wish that the mobile app offered? And what would you like to see on the Duolingo Apple Watch app? And so through these insights, I built out a product brief and a feature prioritization matrix, and I also created a number of customer profiles to help inform the final features that I decided to include in my designs. So, for example, this is one customer profile, Alex. He's 30, he works in tech, likes to run, he's training for a marathon, but he he also wants to learn conversational Spanish, but doesn't have that much time. So there's an opportunity here for him to access language learning through Duolingo, through the Apple Watch app, in the form of a podcast feature. So rather than going on Spotify and listening to music or a podcast on that platform, this app would allow him to access Duo Radio, which is an existing feature, and listen to a podcast in Spanish on Duolingo while running and training for his marathon. So as you can see here, Duo Radio is one of the features that I prioritized, and there's 3 other features that I'm going to go into depth once I talk you through my designs. But before I do that, I wanted to just talk about some objectives and key results that I feel are important to these designs. So I hope to enhance user engagement through this Apple Watch extension, and also to drive max subscriptions on Duolingo, because one of the features, the Call Lily feature, is only available to Duolingo Max subscribers. So the hope is that people would download this app, the free users, and then see they can't access one of the cool features, and then subscribe to Max, and that would create revenue for Duolingo, and also for this app to just seamlessly integrate into the whole ecosystem so that the user experience is smooth from the mobile phone and to the Apple Watch. So now let's talk about my designs. These were the first drafts of the designs, but I just wanted to talk you through the features that I prioritized. So on the left, you see the landing screen with the 4 features that you can access through the Apple Watch app. We already talked about Duo Radio. The next one is a slang vocab drill. Again, I drew most of these insights from the user research that I did, and a lot of the people that I spoke to talked about how on the mobile experience they wish that there was like a quick form 1 to 2 minute slang lesson that they could access in the language that they're learning. So I incorporated that into the Apple Watch design, and this would be a voice-activated lesson, so you wouldn't have to be touching your watch to engage with this. It would be completely done through Siri integration and voice activation. Then we have the Word of the Day feature, which you could just click on the landing page and see the word of the day in the language that you're learning on your watch, and then the FaceTime with Lily feature, which I just spoke to. It's exclusive to Max users. I don't know if any of you have Apple Watches, but you can take a phone call or a FaceTime call from your Apple Watch. So this is emulating that experience. It would be like talking to someone on the phone, except on Duolingo, you would be talking to a character in the language that you're learning while on a walk or something else of that sort. So then I got user feedback and I got a lot of helpful insights to help refine my designs. The three that I wanted to highlight were people wanted to see more visual representation of the audio nature of the slang vocab drill. Also, people said that they wanted to see clearer icons for easier navigation and just more consistent styling, typography, colors within the Apple Watch designs that I had and also with the entire Duolingo ecosystem. So these are, this is the design now and the prototype that I have. As you can see, that was the landing page. Now we're in the word of the day. I've added icons. The typography is more aligned. The fonts and colorings are all within the Duolingo branding guide. I added the audio waveforms here for the slang vocab drill. And then the Call Lily feature, as you can see, looks very similar to if you're on a phone call on the Apple Watch. So yeah, and I also added the gamification features at the top with the streaks and the hearts, because that's a huge part of the Duolingo experience. So now let's talk about some competitors. As you can see here, I've created a matrix of Duolingo and some of its competitors. And in the other three categories that I've included, it's pretty close, but as you can see, none of those providers exist in the wearable space. So I think it's important to note that this project would allow for them to be a first mover in this space and give them more of a competitive advantage and hopefully increased revenue. In terms of ethical considerations, I tried to make sure that the designs that I came up with were inclusive, not too overstimulating, simple, and the audio nature a lot of the experience makes it easy for people who would have a hard time seeing the app on the watch, etc. Also, it aligns with the social equity idea that, everyone can access Duolingo. You don't have to pay to use it on the mobile experience. So I continued that in the Apple Watch experience. And also in terms of mitigation measures, I would definitely partner with advocacy groups to make sure that the app is as accessible as possible, just iterating and making sure that we're keeping up with the times and always trying to be better in terms of accessibility of the designs. In terms of stakeholders and the communication plan, I have highlighted 4 key groups that I would want to keep in constant communication with during the development and launch of this app. First, the users, which I've already been communicating with, so I would continue to do so through surveys and feedback, etc. Then internals teams, I would want to have at least weekly touch points across all the functions like developers, product, marketing, finance, etc. Also partners, in this case, the partner is mainly Apple, making sure that the designs are in line with the regulations and compliance standards that they like to keep for all of their designs and their wearable devices. And then also investors, making sure that they understand what's going on with the progress of this project, how much they're spending, where their money is going, and also how much revenue is being generated by the Apple Watch extension of Duolingo. So that brings me to my revenue model. Again, it emulates the mobile experience. So there would be ad revenue generated from the free users accessing this Duolingo Apple Watch app. They would experience ads throughout their experience, and they would just it would pause whatever they were interacting with. It wouldn't show up on their watch. They would just listen to it and then continue on with their learning. And then the subscription upsell piece, which I spoke to earlier, those people who want to access that special Call with Lily feature would hopefully upgrade to Max because of the Duolingo app on the Apple Watch. And that would be another source of revenue. Here is a very simplified financial model. I based all of my calculations on the Q4 Duolingo numbers that came out and just took percentages from that and made calculations for the assumed revenue. But the things I wanted to highlight here is that the initial investment that I'm asking for is $500,000 for development, testing, marketing, and then Also, that the broad, large-scale goal of this would be to scale and expand into like the Android wearable space so that Duolingo could continue to be a huge competitor in the wearable space, not only on the Apple ecosystem, but also in the Android ecosystem. And finally, the ask and next steps. So I would need a team of at least 3 to 5 engineers for development, marketing support for launch. I already talked about the funding, so we would want funding for development, marketing, and testing. And then I would want to more formally launch beta testing in the next 6 months to make sure that the designs are as strong as they could be for this really cool extension of Duolingo. Thank you.
Time for questions. And maybe the first question into the room is like, who here is using Duolingo or has used Duolingo at some point? Which languages did you learn?
Dutch.
Italian, Dutch. What else?
Yes, but it was later recommended by mommy from my brother.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Right.
Oh, it's Japanese. All right. You have some customers here.
Yes.
Yeah. Right, any questions? Huh? Yeah.
Yes, I love the presentation and idea. Like it doesn't exist and it would be a great fit for the market, to be honest. So I wanted to know, how did this idea come from, and like what were the reference point for you to actually think about the features, like you mentioned about the radio thing and stuff. Like I wanted to know your journey.
Yeah. Well, over the summer, I worked for SiriusXM, and for that internship, my main project was building out Pandora for the Android watch. So I basically had that baseline of understanding the wearables marketplace, like how you design for a wearable device, and had reference points from that. So I got the idea from there because I transparently don't have a design background, so it was nice to kind of have a little bit of insight from that. And then the Duo Radio feature and like the other features, I just really like Duolingo and I use it all the time. So I did like a lot of research about the things that exist on their end that I could incorporate into this Apple Watch experience for the more like on-the-go learning opportunities. So, yeah.
If I could add to that, the first time Yosi and I talked, her idea was very different. She actually wanted to create a Farsi.
Yes, yeah, also that's true. I speak Farsi, it's my first language. So initially I wanted to build out like the whole language for Farsi on the Duolingo mobile platform, but I talked to a person who works at Duolingo, and she said that like the languages aren't part of the product team per se. That's like a whole other group, and I wanted this to be sort of like a product management design project, and she said that building out a language wouldn't be as effective as building out like an app for a wearable device. So
Thank you.
I'd love to see, it's a great job, it's a great idea. I'd love to see if you get into any conversations with the Duolingo folks. You know, it sounds like you've done some research on some of the numbers. I'd love to see that really like a whole slide on here's the number of users, here's the number of users on mobile, you know, so that you can see the difference of your goals. And because you say it's also acquiring customers and subscriptions or whatever, I want them to be able to see like a line around that.
Definitely.
You know, if you take it further.
Yeah, I've definitely tried, but we'll see.
You keep trying or whatever. It's great. It's a great idea.
Yeah, thank you.
There are two approaches, right, to the trying to break into. One conversation, the other one releasing it on social.
True, I could do that. Yeah. Yeah, on LinkedIn maybe.
Yeah.
True.
I saw more hands. Yes, here, right?
No?
There.
Yes.
Does it work offline? Like say you're on the subway.
Yes, I have that as a requirement on the brief. I didn't include that as much on the presentation just because it's hard to show visually, but yes, the idea would be that it would have an offline capability so that similar to like Spotify, you could listen to like the Duo Radio or access a lesson offline if you needed to on a commute.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
So here, when the language learners or wannabe language learners, who would use a smart watch for language learning? Raise your hand. Okay.
Oh.
All
Thanks,
That's the
guys.
dirt out of the shoe. Take that as an informal data point.
Yes, yes. Cool.
If there's no more questions, then thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.